Welcome to my office, my messy office. I literally just spilled a plant. I've got plant soil all over the place. If you're just joining us for the first time, I'm Pippa and I share knowledge about business analysis. And I'm also the founder of the Well-Paid BA program where I teach and I help you to build the confidence that you need to do your job as a business analyst. So, is business analysis a low stress, low burnout career? I'll start with just telling you the plain truth, right? Business analysis can be low stress, okay? But it's not guaranteed. So I'll first of all explain why business analysis can be a low stress job. One reason why it's low stress is you're not in an emergency role. You're not a doctor. You're not saving lives, right? No one's life is on the line per se. You usually would work office hours, 9 to 5, and you have your evenings and your weekends free, right? Again, it's often project-based, so you know what you're working with and you know why you're working. You get to use your brain. Somebody asked me, she wants to transition into business analyst. She wants to join the program. And her reason was that she wants to be able to use her brain. In her current role, she doesn't feel challenged, right? It's low stress in that way that you, as a business analyst, you get to use your brain. You get to solve problems. You get to improve systems. You get to map out processes. And when you're experienced, once you get to the level of experience, you can have a lot of autonomy and flexibility like I am. At the start of my career, I didn't feel like I was confident. I had high stress because I felt like I had to be on the ball. I had to know what I'm doing, know what I'm saying, how I'm doing the work. But over time, I feel less stressed because now I know what I'm doing. So when is business analysis not peaceful? When can it be high stress? Toxic stakeholders. That's when it's not peaceful, especially those who keep changing their minds or those who never give you time. Or you have some stakeholders that are just plain annoying, unbearable, rude. Obviously, it can cause stress and make you feel less of yourself or feel that you're not delivering as you should be. Another reason why business analysis can be high stress is poorly defined roles, where you're expected to be the BA, you're expected to be the project manager, you're expected to be the tester, the UX designer, all in one. Obviously, that will bring a lot of stress. And a lot of organizations are poorly defining business analysis roles. I don't know if they don't know or they're trying to encompass a lot of other tasks or project-related roles into one. Another example is last-minute pressures from your delivery teams or your leadership teams with unrealistic deadlines. Sometimes there are unrealistic deadlines. They're not taking into consideration impacts, risks on the project timeline. So you can have pressures there or stress in that area. And finally, another reason why BA can be a stressful job is feeling that you're constantly chasing clarity in the middle of chaos. I love chaos. I've said it in a few of my videos. I love it because that's what gives us the job that we do as BAs. We're there to bring clarity in chaos, right? That can also cause the stress when you're continuously trying to seek the clarity within the chaos. But what helps us to make it less stressful is knowing what tools and techniques to adopt in those scenarios, right? It's not the job that's low stress or high stress. It's the context that you're working. So this is why it varies depending on the project, depending on these various scenarios that I've just explained. So in that sense, how do you actually then find the right role for yourself as a business analyst? What makes a BA role less stressful? So I'll give you a quick framework based on what can make the role less stressful. There are 4 things. And they relate back to the actual reasons why the role is stressful. So one reason is stable stakeholders. That will make your role less stressful. You want people who are available, people who are decisive, and they understand why the project matters. Now, if you experience stakeholders that are not stable, that are chaotic, then adopting the right tools and techniques will help them understand why the project matters. And then you can turn them into more easy to handle stakeholders, right? Because you already know them. Number 2 is clear scope. You want to avoid endless churn of changing requirements every 2 weeks. Projects with a well-defined goal will reduce rework and frustration. So the reason why chaos could come up in project is because the goals or the project plan has not been clearly defined. So that would then create more chaos. That will impact deadlines. It will impact scope, right? It's always about doing the work first so that you can mitigate for the risks, mitigate for the issues that may come up in the future. So as BAs, we'll identify the risk that could come up. And in order to mitigate for that, you prepare, right, before you actually go into full project mode. Number 3 is reasonable pace, right? So if you're working on high-speed agile delivery teams that ship weekly, this is one reason why a lot of agile delivery are with 2 weekly sprints, right? That makes the work easier to manage. That makes the stories easier to deliver, right? So if you're rushing, you may feel constantly behind. If your project, because it all falls on the project as well, not just you as a BA, maybe having a slower cadence so that you can have more thinking time, right? Especially in agile delivery. Agile is quite fast-paced. So again, it's all about preparation and knowing what best is the deliverable for each sprint. Fourthly, what makes the role less stressful is respect for the BA role. Remember when I said about the BA role is not clearly defined by the organization. So in effect, you're stressed because you're doing too much work that doesn't really involve business analysis. So when a company values analysis, you're seen as a partner because you're helping them to drive value. You're helping them to uncover problems, right? So how do you find that in the real world of business analysis, right? So there are some industries where BA work tends to be more relaxed, tends to be more balanced and lower in terms of burnout, while still giving you the career satisfaction that you need, right? So these are the industries that you could look for if you're looking for less stressful BA roles. One industry is the higher education industries, the universities and the colleges, right? They usually would have long project timelines. They usually would have unionized staff environments, less profit pressure. So you might be working on projects like student portals, course systems, reporting tools. The bonus here is that it's great for deep thinkers who like structure. So if you really like structure, you need to know and have clarity of direction, strategy. Higher education is the industry to go. Another industry is the non-profits or charities. Now, this is debatable because I've worked in charities. It was low stress, but it does have some high stress factors. And I know a couple of people who also work in charities and the role is not clearly defined and they're doing not just the BA role, but they're doing PM and tester roles as well. However, I think generally, because non-profits and charities are a purpose-driven culture, and there's often less hierarchical and political issues. And you probably work on projects like CRM, migrations, donor platforms, case management. I worked on donor platforms before when I worked for the Royal British Legion. But anyway, the bonus here is that you're making an impact without chasing KPIs because they're not driven by profits, right? They're non-profit organizations. Another industry is the local government, public sector, things like councils. For this one, the projects will usually go through formal business case, so they make sure that the business case is solid and formal, right? It usually would also have a strong structure and defined roles. The roles are very clearly defined. It's slower pace, but you get steady work. And you possibly work on projects like digitizing public services, internal admin tools, right, and other internal type of projects. The bonus here that they have predictable hours and the work-life balance is also great in public sector, which is amazing. Another industry is healthcare admin, the non-clinical healthcare, right? Especially in NHS or private health admin teams. For these ones, the projects are often operational. It's not like life or death projects. And you'll probably be working on system improvements like appointment booking, patient portals, or record management, right? Those are the sort of projects that you might work on. The bonus is that the work is impactful and you also have fewer emergencies because it's not like life or death. Even though it's in the healthcare sector, you're not like a doctor. Another area, there are 2 more areas, which is the utilities and the museums, the libraries, or academic publishing, right? For utilities like energy, water, Waste management. Their environments are often regulated, so it means that they'll have structured delivery as well, kind of like the public sector. They also will have long planning cycles in terms of projects, and you'll work on things like billing systems, customer service platforms, or asset tracking. It's excellent for detail-oriented BAs who like routine and stability, right? So this is a great industry as well for low stress. Another one is museums, libraries, academic publishing, like I mentioned. For this one, the culture is calm. Think of museums and libraries. They're calm. People are thoughtful, are warm. I think this is a great area to work if you want to find a job that's low stress. So what low stress BA roles by the job types? Low stress BA roles are process analyst roles, where you focus on mapping workflows, analyzing gaps, and recommending improvements, right? There's less chaos and there's fewer dependencies. Requirements and analyst as well, especially in Waterfall. In Waterfall, we do a lot of requirement analysis. It's structured environment, it's clear documentation at the start because we're working on business cases or BRDs, and it's less last-minute pivoting as well. Reporting or data BA can be less stressful because it can be quite autonomous because you'll be working on your own a lot, especially in non-fintech environments, right? There's more focus on data interpretation, so you're really working with data, right? Dashboards, working with reports. There's less stakeholder drama and there's more independence. The fourth type of BA is the internal consultant BA. Where you support multiple departments, but you're not stuck in the grind of delivery. Right? If you're an internal consultant, you most of the time will be working with the organization's clients, right? Think things like business improvement, not just building products. As much as I've shared industries you can work in, low stress BA roles, how can you actually keep burnout low in a fast-paced environment in case you're not in one of the calm, less stress BA roles yet, like me? How do you protect your peace? How do you ensure that you show up with grace? You wake up happy to show up at work. How do you ensure that? I think what's worked for me is number one is setting boundaries. Yes, they employ you to do a job. It doesn't mean that you should bow down and do everything and stress yourself and kill yourself for the job. No, you still also have to set boundaries and set them early. If you allow people send you Teams messages or Slack messages after 7 p.m., they will accept that you are okay with it, right? So just say that you're clear that your boundaries are 9 to 5 and you wouldn't go outside it, right? So don't let it be a norm. Protect your time, protect your space. Number 2 is get clear on the scope, right? Use your BA skills to lock down what's in scope and what's out of scope. Just say things like maybe you're in a meeting, you're trying to understand scope, you're trying to understand project plan, problem statement. Just say it in the meeting, just so I'm clear. Are you asking me to include X? What wasn't in the original plan? X wasn't in the original plan. Are you asking me to include it now? What impact will it have over the long run of the project plan? For instance, like try to make sure that your scope is clear. Number 3, document everything, knowing that not everything is actually needed, right? Still try to document everything, not just to cover your back, right? But to reduce repeat conversations so that you don't make your stakeholders stressed as well in the event, because sometimes you might be discussing with stakeholders, something has already been said, even though it's not part of the question you asked. Still document it because it might be valid, right? Record the meeting so that you can capture as much information as possible rather than going back and forth with your stakeholders, then making your job stressful because your stakeholder might resist, right? So try to make sure that you're uncovering all these predicting things before you actually dive into the work. Number 4, build strong relationships. Build strong relationships with your stakeholders as well as your team, your colleagues. When you're trusted, people don't micromanage you. I've never been micromanaged before, actually. I feel trusted by my managers in the past because I've always been independent in doing my work. So you need to make sure that you're helping your manager to like you so that you don't be micromanager. I think I've talked about a video about making sure your manager likes you. This is really important because when things finally go wrong, and they will, you're not perfect, things will go wrong. Things go wrong for me as well, but they won't blame you because they build that trust with you. You wouldn't be blamed because things happen, right? So try to build those relationships early with the key people that will impact your role, impact your job in the company, right? Choose your employers carefully. This one is very important, actually. Very important. I was talking to my mentee the other day about how many jobs I've declined because I have to choose my employers carefully, right? So as much as they're interviewing you, you also need to interview them. Just like they're interviewing you, you need to interview them and ask them the questions that you need to know, okay? Ask them questions like, how do you define success for BAs here? How do you support work-life balance? Can you tell me about the last project that went really well and why? Ask them these questions. You're supposed to. To sum up this video now, is business analysis low stress or high stress career? It can be. It can be low stress. It can be high stress. And for many of us, it's a massive improvement from where we came from. A lot of my mentees have come from very high stress roles, right? Working as nurses, working in the NHS, working as security, right? Working as, high stress roles. I can't really think of too many examples here. And moving to business analysis, they've realized that it's actually more low stress. They can manage their time. They have work-life balance. And they actually know how to apply the tools and techniques that we teach them as part of my well-paid BA program. But just to be clear, you won't avoid all stress because it's life. It's life. No job is totally zen, right? But as a BA, you can design a career with flexibility, with intellectual stimulation, with good pay, and with freedom to say, this role isn't for me. And then you choose the role that will actually be better next time, right? So that's it. That's all I wanted to share. But before I go, I wanted to ask you a question. Have you subscribed? If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? It's been how long? Click the subscribe button. It's free, right? And you'll get more videos about business analysis lifestyle, and how we can actually help you to secure your dream business analyst job. If you'd like to know more, to have sessions with me, group coaching sessions, click the link in the description to join my well-paid BA program. Book a call with me and we'll discuss about it before you actually join. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video. You never know who it might help. Till I see you in my next one. Peace.